Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Connor Williams and you're watching Wrestle Rap. And today, I know, I've been gone a week, I know I've missed Mustafa Ali, Retribution, I missed the first half of the draft. It was personal reasons, well, not that personal, I had a birthday, I've had a birthday week, spent it with my family, well, a bit of it with my family, a bit of it with my girlfriend, a bit of it with friends to be fair, and I just, took a holiday. But I am back, and we are back, and Raw has got the second half of the draft. So I've not missed all the draft. We will break down Raw in this week's Raw review. So guys, we start with Randy Orton coming out. He says, I want a match, Drew. I've not actually been pinned, because obviously an ambulance match. He's like, I haven't been pinned all year. I deserve a match. Drew comes out. They brawl. Drew says this is might be his last time on the same brand. So if they're going to be on the same brand, he wants to make the full opportunity of them being in the same building, which means he just wants to batter Orton. And they go at it. Orton escapes, luckily. He goes under the ropes. Drew drops him on the announce table. And then we get our first draft of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. I was a bit gutted I missed this on SmackDown. This is interesting. So Raw picks. Firstly, they do it by picks, like draft picks. I'm a bit devastated. I used to like the lotto balls and the random ones. I don't like this one because this one seems to mean that there was logic involved. And some of them are picking, I'll go through some of them. But we start off with Raw, and Raw pick The Fiend. So straight away, Raw picked the bigger one of the two. It was really, really shocking that The Fiend's come over. I tell you what, I'm worried it takes momentum off SmackDown. Just because SmackDown's so good, and The Fiend was just one of many good things. I don't want him to go to Raw and be nothing, and I don't want SmackDown to be nothing without him. But he's gone to Raw. SmackDown got Bayley, fantastic choice. She's been brilliant there, don't move her. Raw, keep Randy Orton. Yeah, fair enough. He's going to feud with Drew quite a bit more then. SmackDown get the Street Profits. I think this is good. Obviously, one champion left in the New Day, so you have to bring another champion over. Street Profits, I think they'll do well on SmackDown. There's a lot of people they could rival with. I think they were running out of tag teams on Raw to have a rivalry with. Charlotte went to Raw as well. I've not seen Charlotte in ages, so this really didn't mean a lot to me. I was just like, oh, okay. I think the division will be better when she comes back, but at the meantime, I was like, nah. But yeah. Then we get into our first match of Raw, and it is Kevin Owens defeating Aleister Black in a no disqualification match. This match, wow. Kevin Owens, first of all, thank you for doing your street fighting jeans. I love it when wrestlers have a street fight and they do it in jeans. It's classic. It must be uncomfortable, but it is classic and I love it. I don't know how they don't rip the denim, personally, but KO has great spots throughout. Cannonballs onto the barricade. Black hits KO with a double knee stomp, while the chairs are set up, fully set up like that next to each other. There's four of them. He stomps him through. It looks so good. Kevin Owens then stuns Aleister Black. He goes for Black Mass and hits a post. Rolls back in the ring. Stunner. Powerbomb through the table. 1, 2, 3. Done. I thought it was a great match. Some solid spots here. It was very brutal. I don't know where this leaves their rivalry. Hopefully it finishes. But who knows? Because I don't really know what you do now. But Aleister Black's an interesting one as well. They had him undefeated for ages. Now they just seem to be burying him a bit. But if there's a man that probably deserves to go over more, it's Kevin Owens, isn't it? So I gave this about 7.5 out of 10. Really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Next, we have another draft pick. Stephanie McMahon coming out and doing every draft pick. We have Strowman to Raw. I think that was obvious in the last couple of weeks. Once he was done with with The Fiend and Reigns, you knew he was done. He's focusing on Raw Underground now, isn't he? And Keith Lee and Dabba-Kato. He beat him, didn't he? Yeah, he beat him. Well, he's focusing on Keith Lee, so I think this was always, going to happen. SmackDown get Daniel Bryan. Again, not seen him in a while, so this was a bit like hopefully we see him back soon. I think he's just being a bit cautious with the whole pandemic, and he's got kids, hasn't he? So fair enough to him. I hope to see him back soon, but obviously only when the time's right for him. Raw get Matt Riddle. I kind of guess this would happen. If you don't know, Matt Riddle, his wife, put out a post a while ago that's resurfaced, basically calling people like Becky Lynch jiggly bum or something, skinny with jiggly bums because she doesn't squat or whatever. Seth Rollins obviously not happy because it's his girlfriend, wife, and also the mother of his child. Says he's got no intention on working with Riddle. This is bad. Riddle seems to have been upsetting. I know calling out Goldberg and Lesnar. That's not awful, but he seems to now be upsetting a lot more people. Obviously, there's accusations against him as well. So, the woman who's doing the accusations is pressing with them. So it'll be interesting to see what WWE do here, because this could go a bit wrong. And as much as I liked Riddle when he first came, obviously with the accusations, I'm a bit like holding off now on that until he's been found to be proven innocent or not. But he needs to be careful who he rubs up the wrong way. And Seth Rollins is a massive, massive influence. And also, if you want to be a main eventer, you've got to come across Seth Rollins at some point. So, KO went to SmackDown. That's a good move for KO. He was getting mid-carded on Raw. He could be a main eventer on SmackDown. He'll get the chance. Him versus Roman Reigns would be a good rivalry. Jeff Hardy went to Raw. Yeah, decent. He'll fill the hole Kevin Owens has just left. So I thought that was a really good couple of draft picks. We then get Miz TV with Mandy Sachs, and Dana Brooke in the new tag team. It was interesting to see how this worked, with these coming over, because obviously they got Mandy moved. They mentioned getting Mandy moved. She's like, oh, whatever. They're like, oh, really? We helped your career because you got a new tag team partner, new music, new haircut. Give us a pat on the back. She was like, no, I'd rather smack you. Fair enough. Lana and Natty come out. They start mentioning about influencers, and Mandy quite rightly says maybe you should concentrate on in-ring ability to Lana. They brawl, then Miz and Morrison get a new guest, who's John Morrison, and then Lars Sullivan comes out and just demolishes them. Lars Sullivan's another one who needs to be careful, a bit like Riddle. He's a man who's going to destroy his own push. I personally don't like Lars Sullivan. I think he looks weird. Like, I don't mean like looks weird, but like, I don't get his gimmick. His gimmick's a bit like Snitsky, the freak Lars Sullivan, and like, didn't work for Snitsky, who was an imposing, probably more imposing than Lars. And also Lars Sullivan, like, there's not many more chances he's going to get. Obviously, he's come out in forums and said horrible, horrible things. He appeared in a gay pornography film, here or there on that. His life choices, I'm not here to judge what he does. He's not hurting anyone there. The comments he mentioned in the forum, he was hurting people, and that is wrong, and that does need to be addressed. Awful. The pornography video wasn't hurting anyone. I've got no qualms with that. The anxiety attack before facing Cena, again, can't help that. No qualms with that. I personally, it's tough, and that shouldn't affect his career really, because it's not his fault. But the texting women who've got marriages, who are obviously yoga trainers, again, there's only so far you can dig. And like, I've just said two of them, I don't personally have a problem, but you don't know if Vince does, and that's the problem here. You're not trying to appease people who might be more understanding. You're trying to appease Vince McMahon, who has been known to kick off if you sneeze in front of him. So it's a tough one, but we'll have to see how it goes with Lars. Next, we have the New Day and the Street Profits backstage, who decide the best thing to do is just swap the titles round, because they're both on different Raws, both the tag team titles, just swap them round. And yeah, I agree with that. That was nice and easy. And then we have another draft. In this one, Raw got Retribution. Yeah, that makes sense. SmackDown got Corbin. Doesn't move, yeah. Lee, Raw, doesn't move. Sullivan, Lars to SmackDown. Doesn't move, I guess. And King Corbin's SmackDown. I've just said that one. So yeah, you get a lot of these here who just don't change. And this was pointless to the draft a bit. Change them. Or if they did, they took their rivalries with them, and it was a bit like, I think we all wanted the Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins one to end, and that looks like it might follow it. It's following over, so brilliant. Speaking of the Monday Night Messiah, he comes out next. He says it's Raw's loss. Who's going to fill the hole of a leader? Hardy comes out. He's like, it's not bloody you. You've got to go. And then AJ Styles comes out and starts giving it to Jeff. It was a bit rude about Seth on the way, so Seth attacks him. Next thing you know, they all brawl, and it's a triple threat setup. AJ Styles wins this. It was an alright match. They worked really well together, I thought. Elias returns, smashes Hardy with a guitar. That gives AJ the win. I'd give this a 7 out of 10, the match, personally. They all really worked well. I don't know about the cheap ending, but builds on something, so is it that cheap? No, I guess not. Then we have another draft, and Raw gets Elias. Obviously, he's just caused a feud. That was pretty obvious. SmackDown Zayn, so he doesn't move. Lacey Evans does move to Raw. I think that's good for the Southern Belle. She was going a bit stale on SmackDown, so I think this will be a good move for it. Shinsuke and Cesaro stay on SmackDown again, non-mover. Raw gets Sheamus, who does move. I assume to feud with the other members of the New Day, maybe. I don't know. He was, again, going stale on SmackDown. So basically, this is just a way to move a couple of the mid-carders round, if I'm going to be completely honest. So Mandy and Dana defeat Lana and Natty. This match was over very quickly. Mandy and Dana look really, really good together. Their finisher, where Dana's on Mandy's shoulders and then Senton's over, look good. It was really, really, they're a good tag team. I've got much hope for them. 5 out of 10 for the match. It was over pretty quickly. Natty and Lana split. Then we go backstage to Ricochet, who says he's done with the Hurt Business. He doesn't want any of this. So he goes, if I win tonight, you leave me alone. If you win, I'll join you. I think that's the right thing to do. You can't have this many rivalries. Obviously, Hurt Business is Retribution now. So, you know, I think that's a good way to end the feud, this, potentially. And then we get Angel Garza's back already from his hip injury. They do say he's medically cleared. I'm a bit surprised. Maybe it wasn't as bad as people thought now. He does defeat Andrade with the wing clipper. Good match, right winner. Garza is the money out of the two. I think they're both money, but Garza has the charisma. Didn't he? Was leaning on the ropes. I can see where Vince says he reminds him of Eddie Guerrero. He just has that natural aura about him that he'll be a good heel. He'll be a really good heel that you like. Eventually, you could even learn to like. You know, like an anti-hero. Vega helps Andrade up. Then the lights dim, and welcome to Monday Night Raw, Bray Wyatt, who, with Alexa Bliss, attacks Sister Abigail to both of them. I think this is a good way to introduce him. I don't think this is a rivalry. I think the Fiend's going to pick and choose who he fights. It'd be interesting to see where they go with Alexa Bliss. Is she going to be a psychic? Is she going to get a mask? That'd be quite cool. Is she going to have the Buddy Rogers gimmick where Bray Wyatt's Bray Wyatt and then he's the Fiend? Is she going to be like, you know, trans, like, you know, when she goes into a trance for an adventure? Is that hers? We'll have to wait and see. Next we have a draft again. Raw get Nikki Cross. Again, she's come over with Alexa to continue whatever story that is. You get SmackDown, get Ziggler and Rude. I think that's a good switch for them. They had already managed to go stale on Raw after like a week of being together. Raw keep R-Truth, non-mover. SmackDown get Cruz, good move over. Cruz has impressed me quite a lot lately. And Raw get Dabba-Kato for Raw Underground. Non-mover, he's not even part of the Raw roster really, he's Raw Underground. Which you didn't get this week either, by the way. New Day defeat the Ziggler and Rude. Always knew who'd win this match. I thought it was dead predictable. They're not going to have them win and then go over to SmackDown, are they? They did the Midnight Hour for the win, 6 out of 10. It was alright, it was quite good, but you knew he was going to win. Elias then explains his attack on Jeff Hardy. Says Jeff ran me over. Fair enough. I forgot about that storyline. Did anyone else? Do you remember that? I bloody didn't. So yeah, I guess that's one way to rekindle the feud. I'm sure it was, I don't know, the Hacker was going to announce it, wasn't he? Yeah. WWE waited too long for that, in my personal opinion. Too long. You pulled it on the Hacker, who was going to be Mustafa Ali. You pulled it on this, too long. Too long. But we'll have to wait and see. Ricochet does defeat Cedric. He defeats him, speaking of Eddie Guerrero earlier, with the classic Eddie Guerrero chair move. MVP is just money here. It's a really athletic match. The ref gets knocked out. MVP grabs the chair. Ricochet grabs it, goes to smack Alexander, smacks it really hard on the mat, throws it to Cedric and pretends he's hit. Classic Eddie move that was. And the ref falls for it. Ricochet has nothing to do with the Hurt Business anymore. Good. Nice, clean. No one gets buried. Sound. End the rivalry. Rekindle. I think that's really, really clever. No one's hurt there. Draft time, you get Raw keeping Titus O'Neil, again non-mover. SmackDown Carmella, non-mover. Raw Royce, non-mover. SmackDown get Aleister Black, following over Kevin Owens, so their rivalry will rekindle again. Raw Tozawa, non-mover. You see what I mean? They're either non-movers or you bring one over and you've got to bring the other one over, which means rivalries won't end. Just keep them, like, all you're doing is changing the colour and the night of the week. Like, I preferred it when it was random, and I preferred it when wrestlers fought for draft picks. That was quite good. Lana wins the Battle Royale, 6-woman Battle Royale. Everyone eliminates Nia, including Shayna. It's everyone for themselves, obviously. Nia puts Lana through a table in anger, which we've seen for the last 3 weeks. Then we get a clip of Orton and McIntyre brawling backstage. Natty thinks she eliminates Lacey and she's won. Lana then eliminates her. My opinions on this was Lana's very green, and I think it's going to be a squash match with Asuka. I don't even think it might be a good match. I think she's too green for even Asuka to carry, but we'll have to wait and see. Orton and Drew then brawl again and are separated. My lasting thought on this is for the Battle Royale, I'd give it about 4, 5. Why would you interrupt the women's match? They do this a couple of times and it infuriates me. Don't have them close the match if you're going to do this, because it's so... I personally think this is so disrespectful. Like, you want to push SmackDown's women's, like Bayley and Sasha Banks. Their angles are so good. They're so gripping. They are carrying the blue brand. And you look at Raw, and Asuka's great, but then you think, who's she working with? Who's going to carry this? And this is the problem with the women on the Raw roster being underutilised. Why are you having the men interrupt the match? Like, as soon as you had the flashover, everyone's attention was on what's going on backstage. The commentators are now mentioning it. This is their moment, and you're taking it away from them for the men to wrestle, for them to come out and be separated like we've seen for the last 2 weeks. It infuriates me. Just pick a better winner than Lana. No offense to Lana, I just don't think she's ready. And like Ember Moon, you could have had Ember Moon come back and do it, but then like make it worthwhile. Don't say, oh, and here's the women's match, and oh wait, Randy, just cover it over the women. The women's match doesn't matter, because it does, and it needs to. The women's match on the women's brand on SmackDown is so good. They've got such a great rivalry, and like every week you watch it for them, for Sasha and Bayley, and then you look at Raw and you go, Amanda and Dana are quite good, Asuka are good, but then you go. Oh, and it's because they do this. Stop burying them. Let them have their own bit. Like, I personally think it's stupid to have the men interrupt them. But that was my rant about it. Other than that, Raw was alright. The draft was, well... Everyone's going to be on different coloured shows now and fight different days of the week, but nothing really changes. It's here or there. It's a bit hard to hide my disappointment, really. I really wish I was around last week, because I thought Raw was a lot better last week with Ali. No Retribution again tonight. That's a bit of a shame, but I guess there was sort of so much to get in. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe the brand switching's good. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too negative. You'll have to let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rewatch any old ones you want to watch, and I will see you soon. Peace.